Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a very exciting video. We are going to be installing a Android radio. It's actually a 9-inch version. It's bigger than the one I have, into my friend's BMW convertible. And the cool thing about his, or I guess unfortunate thing about his, is he has the factory radio that has the navigation. So we're gonna actually show how to install it if you have the factory navigation. A lot of people just show how to install it when you have the regular one. He has, as you can see right here, the factory navigation. And the weird thing is, or more complicated thing is, you actually have to run a cable from here all the way from to here, which is the back of the car where the navigation computer sits. So we have to tap into there and then run a cable all the way up. So right now I'm going to show you guys the radio and the cable that we got. I'll link everything down below, and then we're going to start by running the cable and then finally installing the radio. One last thing I should mention is we are installing the iBus adapter that I have to control the onboard computer's iBus system. So we are now going to unbox this radio. Like I said, it's a 9-inch radio from Seicane. They also sent us out this adapter, and like I said, if you have the factory navigation and following along, or if you just want to see how to do it, you won't need this if you don't have the factory navigation. But if you do have the factory navigation, make sure you buy this. I'll link this below as well as the radio. So we're just gonna unbox it now.
So, got a bunch of harnesses and cables.
You don't need them all, I should mention. There's only certain ones that you will need, and we'll go through that if you have like an aftermarket amp and stuff like that.
Other connector for
the antenna.
And then we have the actual radio.
Drop a comment down below what you guys think, if you like this one better than mine and you want me to upgrade. I kind of like it a little better. It's much bigger and
huge screen. Looks pretty good.
Alright, so let's get on to figuring out how we're going to run the cable. So I'm going to throw you guys in I'll throw you guys in a time lapse of us actually running it, but I'll show you guys where we make the connections and stuff like that. So the first thing you're going to need to do is remove this DVD player. It's going to be sitting right there. And unfortunately, there's no tool to do it besides a special proprietary tool that you have to buy on Amazon. I will link it down below. You push it into these two holes, and it releases a clip, and you're able to, it pushes this clip in and allows you to pull the actual radio out. So you are going to need to buy these. I will link them down below. They're like 10 bucks. They come with some other tools to take out the front navigation screen, which you will need also. I'll link them down below. The next thing we're going to do is remove this carpet so we can get back to the factory amp. So as you just saw, we did remove that plastic tray. The reason why I'm not going to tell you exactly how to do it, there's a couple pins that run around the carpet. They look like this. Plastic pry tool behind it. Coupe and convertible may be a little different depending on what years and stuff like that. So now we have access to the actual amp and the DVD player where we're going to tap off. So we figured out how the actual harness needs to go. What has to happen is this connector right here is the main connector that's going into the amp, so we remove that, and then we plugged it into the other one with all these cables, the one that fits, the one that actually has this bottom section on it. That's the only one that goes in here. Then we had another cable with a latch like the factory one that went into the amp. One thing to note, we still have one cable left over. We have this cable left over. We don't know what it does. We just tested the radio and it did work, so this cable is not needed for our application. We also hooked up the CAN bus connector to one harness that's running off of the big harness, and then this cable right here is for the antenna. This came out of the factory amp 2. We just unplugged it and plugged in our harness that comes with it for the antenna. We are now going to run all the cables up front. One other thing that we noticed is we have these dead end ones that are covered, so we don't think we need them. And we also have These 3 bare wires, and we don't know what they're for, we're not using them. We tested a radio and it is working, so we are now going to proceed with running the wire. I'm going to do a time lapse and I'll walk you through how we actually connected it. So like we mentioned before, we did remove the side trim piece because we're working on a convertible. And then you also, to snake the actual harness up, you need to remove this piece. There's 3 or 4 Phillips head screws right here, here, and I think here, and there's a pin all the way over there where you see that hole. And then this piece right here slides to your OBD2 port, so you can slide it with your finger. And then it does lift up, and then this piece right here for the light just pulls out, so just pull that out. So we also removed the kick plate that was right here. I know it's a little dark, I need to get a light in here. Let me see if I have a light. Oh, I have a light right here. So we removed the kick plate so we can route the cable behind the actual carpet and then up and over and up into the dash. Now, one thing to note is there's a couple screws that hold on. It holds on, one screw holds on the actual lever for the hood, then there's another screw that holds the piece on. Pull this way so you don't break anything. There's actual clips in there, and then once you pull out, you can release this little connector for the trunk release. Now we're trying to snake the cable down the carpet, as you see.
All right, guys, so we're running the harness along with the antenna, and I'm also installing an aftermarket subwoofer, so I'm running an RCA cable along with it. So I'm tucking it under the carpet, and there's a slot behind here, and that's where the factory harness is. It's pretty easy. You just lift up the carpet a little bit after removing the trim, and you push it in behind it. Make sure the carpet goes. Alright guys, this stuff is going to be pretty hard to film. We're going to take a few pictures after to really give you a good view and point out where exactly the cable is going. But they're going to come up on the left and then go up, and they're going to have to go way up and above the steering column and above all the pedals. It's like right up here, and then they're going to go over. So I'm going to try to do it, and then we'll take a picture after.
So now you're going to remove this trim piece right here. Use a plastic pry tool. Now you can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4 clips. Just go very slow around the outside, and I kind of put my hand over it while I pry. I kind of go like this, just to make it easier. There's one right here, but it's being held in if you have the plastic trim, and you have to get the other one right over here. So now there's 2 Phillips head screws right here that you're going to have to remove. So what we're going to do is we're going to flick up on this piece, just like that, and we're actually replacing this one because it's broken, but we need to remove it for the new radio. There's also 2 Phillips screws right here that we're going to remove now. So this part I haven't done before, so give me a little to kind of figure out how to do this, and I will get back to you. Actually, you don't even need these. I guess these are just to remove the screen, if you just want to remove the screen, but the whole thing looks like it's pulling out already, just with these 2 screws. And that's all we need to get out to install the new radio. So after we remove these 2 top screws, there's just these 2 BMW style connectors. 1, 2, and now the old navigation unit is unplugged. This is all you have to do, and now the new one will slot right in here after we run the cable up this way. So we ended up running the cable up through over the bar. Let me see this light real quick and I'll show you where it's coming through. So if you can see where the light is, we ran it over the bar. That's literally the only spot we were able to fit this connector through. And then we ran it all down here. We still have a bunch of extra space. It's literally going to have to sit right above here, right above the panel. That's the only spot we can really find an adequate spot for it's out of the way of the clutch, the steering, and the brakes. So that's where we're gonna pull it up, and we're gonna tidy it all up down there, and then we're gonna show you installing the radio. So any excess cable I ended up zip tying, and I'm going to store it right up here. It's just gonna sit up here with the shelf on, and I'm gonna see if I can zip tie it to a spot. So we now have the factory connector, the new harness up here, like I said. So you should have this cable, you're going to have this cable. This is for the aftermarket, sorry, this is your antenna cable, this is the main harness. We did not figure out what this is for, so we don't think we need it, and we have not needed any of these extra strand cables. This, like I said, is the RCA for the aftermarket amp, as Matt said. Now, this is everything I have plugged in. I have this for the aftermarket amp, and you only need this if you're going to use the aftermarket amp. I have these plugged in. I have these 2 plugged in for an extra USB cable plugged in. I have these 2 for USB extension cables, the GPS and Wi-Fi module plugged in, and then this is where the antenna will go, and that is where the actual power cable, this is where the antenna will go, and this is where the actual harness will go. So let me set you guys up on tripod and showing you me installing the actual radio. The iMod bus adapter, unfortunately I cannot install today because I don't know where to tap it in. I think I have to tap it in on the back and run an extension cable. I will figure that out in another day and let you guys know, but for today we will not be installing that. Plus we don't have the splice in connectors. The Wi-Fi antenna I just stuck way back there. This one's already been used, so it is a little dirty, so it's probably not going to stick too well, but it's the best we can do right now. It will stay. It's nothing crazy. Hopefully, we didn't have any double-sided tape, so hopefully we get some double-sided tape on it. It will stay on a little better. And then the GPS module, I stick right up on this metal bar up here. Some are magnetic, some are not. I don't know which one this is. I've installed a lot of these radios, so I'm not too sure what this exactly is. We'll figure it out. However, from my experience, it doesn't matter where you put it, the signal is always the same. I've noticed I've always gotten the same signal. So I've tucked my old cables down, and now the old GPS cables down. Route this cable out and plug it in. So the connector's plugged in. Now the last thing I have to deal with is finding out, besides you should also hook up. The antenna goes in one way. Now, it does come with this, and you can match these 2 up for the antenna. I don't know if you should. I've had issues in the past with voltage, like signal issues where I hear a buzzing in the background. So I'm not going to do that, and I told my friend, I said we're not going to do that. So we'll see if we have issues. Now, I need to find which one is the subwoofer output. But now that this is done, all this can just be thrown back into the car, and because the way this was done, there's a lot more room back here compared to my car, because I had all the harnesses up front. But there is, I think I'm fouling on something. Let's see what that is. So now I do have the radio in. The fitment is a little difficult to play with, but I ended up removing one of these brackets on the back side and it actually made it fit in better. Now, to actually get this piece to sit in, you're only going to hold in the radio. There's only one thing that ends up holding in the radio, and it's these top screws end up holding in the radio, nothing else. So what you're going to do is going to put this back. You're going to have to start the top and wedge it in. And then, all right, so now that I got the radio in, it takes a lot of finagling to get in, and like you saw me put this piece in. I recommend pulling this piece and pinching that in to get a good fitment. And then I got this fitment really nice around here. There is a little bit of a gap down here, but it's a solid gap, so it's not too bad. It doesn't look too funny. Now to get this piece in, I was like, it doesn't fit. It does if you take it like that and then spin it, and then push that piece in. And that piece now sits flush, and now, I don't know if you can see this, we're going to put, let me back this up a little so you should be able to see. You should be able to see mostly everything now. Now this piece just slides right in, and everything else we just put back in the reverse way that we took out. It's pretty simple, and especially if you're doing this radio, you should know how to do it. Bam, so now let's turn this radio on and take a look. And bam, the radio's on. We will show more features about it and do a review. So this was just the installation video of the Seicane radio. I think I said it was 9 inches, I think it's 8. I don't remember the exact specs off the top of my head. This radio is looking really good. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is just an installation video showing you guys how to install this radio. I hope you enjoyed. Like I said, we will come out with a review, but this was just the installation video. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments down below and I'll be sure to answer.